Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And this is another prophecy watch. And today I will be responding to a video that was uploaded, by the priest Tazamah. As you can see his page here, Soldier of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. And the title of the video that I will be responding to, 7 cities named Nineveh will be in the path of the next great eclipse to cross out America. Now, if you've been watching, pretty much, the eclipse that is coming, I believe April the 8th of this year, is going to ultimately X out, Babylon the Great in a sense of the directions in which it will be going. To give you an example of what we're talking about, let's bring it up. This is an article on it. X marks the spot. 2 total solar eclipses in 7 years. And we know the number 7 symbolizes completion. And as you can see, August of 2017, you can see the direction, in which these eclipses went. You can see April the 8th of 2024, the direction that eclipse is going to go. And it makes an X, on the region of Babylon the Great, which we know, according to the Holy Scriptures, that's the Heavenly Father's determination, is to destroy this place. And, you can look up more on it. I didn't want to go too much into it, but basically this X, we know in spirit symbolizes that the Heavenly Father, is going to X this place out, and we're just about at the very end of it. Now, make sure you subscribe to this brother's video, this page, and watch this video, because I'm just going to tap into some of the points that were made, and pretty much it's going to be some of the same points, but the Spirit hopped on me to as well go into it. Now, when you look up the article in which the priest is going into, it's on a website called End of the American Dream. On April the 8th, the Great American Eclipse of 2024, which is going to complete that X, when you look at the direction in which, it flows through the country of Babylon, America, will cross over 7 U.S. locations named Nineveh. Now, if you don't know anything about Nineveh, in short, it's in the region of Iraq, which is the region of ancient, Babel, ancient Babylon. This is why a lot of people, when they think they believe the Bible and understand, they say, well, Babylon the Great is in, the region of Iraq, which the physical landmass of ancient Babel, or the Neo-Babylonian Empire, was in the region of Iraq. But Babylon the Great, which is a spiritual Babylon, is in America, and it's a future, captivity of the Israelites, and that will be the last stronghold of the heathen nations, which that will be ran by the biblical Edomites, which when you go into the scriptures, they are likened unto Assyrians when you go into prophecy. The Lord has deeply coded this book, and only the elect can go into it and get understanding, because Nineveh, as you can see here, was the flourishing capital of the Assyrian Empire, the Assyrian Empire, which we know the northern kingdom went into the Assyrian Empire. The southern kingdom eventually went into the Babylonian Empire. But Nineveh, which was established by, all right, a character in the scriptures by the name of Nimrod, who was an actual person, all right, him and a group of individuals, after the flood, all right, which were they were the sons of Ham through Cushites, which today are the Ethiopians. That was the first major empire to flourish after the flood, all right, and we can go to Genesis, the 10th and 11th chapter, and we always go into that, all right. All right. As a matter of fact, as you can read here, Nineveh was a flourishing capital of the Assyrian Empire and was the home of King Sennacherib, okay, which we got a great victory over during the time of Hezekiah, king, all right, king of Assyria during the biblical reign of King Hezekiah. Now, what is a capital? Okay, Nineveh was the capital of the Assyrian Empire, right? What is a capital city? Okay, a capital city, all right, or just capital, is a municipality holding primary status in a country, state, province, department, all right, or other subnational division. Usually it is the seat of government. Now, when you look at the beast system that we're currently living under, we know that America would act as the capital of it, all right, because you have Babylon the Great, which is America, but then you also have, all right, the beast system, all right, which goes into NATO. Then you have the 10 horns, which goes into the EU. See, and pretty much the power structure, all right, is headed by Babylon the Great. So Babylon the Great in spirit will be the capital, all right, of this beast system that we're living under. All right, and when you go into the scriptures, okay, Nineveh was the capital of the Assyrian Empire. Okay, and when you go to the book of Nahum, okay, now if you remember the book of Jonah, all right, he prophesied the downfall of Nineveh, right? But it didn't happen, all right, to, maybe some 100 years later, and that was at the time of Nahum. Okay, Nahum, which, I have some things here, all right, you can look it up. But, Nahum, the book of Nahum, which we'll get into, okay, and as you go to it, all right, the subject of this prophecy, all right, because the fall didn't happen at the time of Jonah, although it was prophesied, but it didn't happen till hundreds of years later, and that was at the time of Nahum, and also Tobit, who was of the northern kingdom, all right, lived at the time of the fall of Nineveh. See, and the subject of this prophecy is the approaching and complete final destruction of Nineveh, the capital of the great, at that time, flourishing Assyrian Empire. All right. And again, when you read the book of Nahum, all right, he was living at the time that Nineveh fell. See, and the modern day Nineveh is Babylon the Great. Okay. It says Nineveh was a great city of vast extent and was then the center of civilization and commerce of the world. See, what does that remind you of when you go to Revelation, the 18th chapter? It describes Babylon the Great as that great civilization of commerce who traded with all of these nations. And the nations got rich off of the, the consumerism of Babylon and all of the ports and how they traded by sea. That's all described in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter. See? And here at this time, as we're getting ready to show you in some prophecy, Nineveh, all right, at the time Nahum was on the scene, all right, was a city of vast extent and the center of civilization and commerce of the world, a bloody city full of lies and robbery. And does not that describe Babylon the Great, America today? For it had robbed and plundered all the neighboring nations. It was strongly fortified, all right, on every side, bidding defiance to every enemy, yet it was to be utterly destroyed as a punishment for the great wickedness of its inhabitants. All right. Jonah had already uttered his message of warning, and Nahum was followed by Zephaniah, who also predicted the destruction of the city, All right, predictions which were remarkably fulfilled when Nineveh was destroyed, apparently by fire, and the Assyrian Empire came to an end. And who took it down? It was the Babylonians, all right, and the Medes, okay, which the Babylonians were also Assyrian, all right. The Medes were a Japhetic people, all right. But all right, going back, let's go to the article here real quick, okay. The end of the American dream, okay. And we're going to get into a few things that were happening, at the time of Nahum's prophecy of the fall of Nineveh. All right. And you're going to see clearly that that which is then is now. All right. And for you believers, we have told you that though things are going to get tight, though there's going to be a squeeze, though we're going to, be in the midst of the fall of Babylon the Great, and we're going to have troubles in the flesh and, lose comforts, the Lord is going to be showing us things that is going to be, given as signs to give us comfort. Okay. Now, on April 18th, the great American eclipse of 2024 will cross over 7 U.S. locations named Nineveh. All right. Named Nineveh. All right. And who established Nineveh? All right. It was Nimrod. All right. Nimrod established that. All right. And later on down the line, it was a power structure, all right, in which the children of Israel were held captive. See? It says, I'm going to share something truly amazing with you in this article. And once again, a lot of naysayers out there will dismiss it as a coincidence. And you have a lot of naysayers. You see, you have a lot of naysayers, and the Bible has been under scrutiny for years, and it's always prevailed. See? And we're living in a time where even the naysayers of the Bible are having to admit and go into the Bible to prove their points. People who, prided themselves as atheists, and non-believers of the Bible are now looking at the world before them like Joe Rogan. I don't know if he was an atheist, but, he didn't, he wasn't a big Christian or anything, a Bible believer, a Bible thumper. But now if you look at his shows, he's looking at the world before him, and he's starting to see like, wow, they're listening to the prophets. They're seeing the Israelites breaking down the scriptures, and they're coming to the conclusion that, wow, this has to be a fulfillment of what this book was talking about as far as the MOTB system. Of course it is. And we even still have naysayers in Israel. It says there will be a lot of naysayers, all right, that will dismiss this as a coincidence. That really doesn't mean anything. But how is it possible that such a vast number of coincidences just happened to have take place in April 2024? All right. Last Friday, I told my core supporters about an amazing discovery regarding how the sun, the moon, and the 7 other planets in our solar system will be aligned during a great American eclipse on April the 8th. See, and the scriptures tell us as the Israelites not to be dismayed at the signs of heaven, because the heathen would see these things and, see how particular things happen in the solar system, and they will worship it. And a lot of things that people believe are, celebrating the Most High and His Son today, they go back to actual planet worship, sun worship, moon worship. All right, your beloved Jesus Christ, Christmas, that all goes back to what? All right, the dealing with the worship of the sun, Sunday, all of these things tie back to worshiping systems that are outside of the Holy Scriptures. See, we are supposed to see these things and tie them to prophecy, not see them and look at, as a means to worship them. See? And Israel has always got caught up in that, and Israel is caught up in that today. Many Israelites are caught up in the worshiping of the going into the left hand practices, basically. Okay? And we're not to do that. Okay, but these things do fulfill prophecy. See, in this article, I'm going to focus on 7 specific locations that are named Nineveh, which just so happened to fall within the great path of the great eclipse on April the 8th. Let me start going back almost 7 years. August 21st, 2017, the Great American Eclipse made headlines over the nation. It was also known as the Seven Salem Eclipse because the path of the eclipse crossed over 7 locations named Salem. Now, we just showed you X marks the spot, right? So when you look at the direction of the eclipses on August 21st, 2017, you see the direction it goes, and it just happened to go over 7 places named Salem, right? Salem. This time, April 8th, 2024, all right, this is going to go over 7 cities named Nineveh. Now, Salem is short for Jerusalem. See? Let's go back. The 7 Salem eclipse, all right? Because the path of the eclipse crossed over 7 U.S. locations named Salem. Salem, Oregon, Salem, Idaho, Salem, Wyoming, Salem, Nebraska, Salem, Missouri, Salem, Kentucky, and Salem, South Carolina. All right. Now, there is a growing doctrine going on amongst our people that America is actually the Holy Land. All right. And they can use something like this to say so. Right. But no, this just speaks in spirit. All right. They say that this was, the original Holy Land and our people were here. Well, if you follow the scriptures, you'll understand that, yes, the people of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai were here in a form of the northern kingdom who left the Assyrian captivity and eventually came over to the Americas. All right. A land where never mankind dwelt or governed. People had been here. All right. But the northern kingdom came over here and they set up shop. Okay. And ultimately, a lot of artifacts leading to the fact that the people over here were actual Hebrew Israelites. The people who came over here and discovered them, all right, so-called discovered them in the form of Christopher Columbus and their counterparts, all right. And again, what did Christopher Columbus had when he came over here? He had a Hebrew interpreter because they were Hebrew Israelites over here. So yeah, there were Israelites over here. We were over here, but our origin goes back to what? All right, Jerusalem. Okay, Jerusalem, the garden eastward in Eden. See? But this all points to something spiritual because when you go to the scripture, let's just go to the scriptures real quick. See if we can pull it up. Let's just type in Salem. All right. And Melchizedek, Genesis 14 and 18, king of Salem. So this Salem belongs to a king by the name of Melchizedek. All right, which we've been doing videos on that. This is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. See? King of righteousness. And you get the breakdown of Melchizedek in the book of Hebrews. But this is the priest of the Most High God. See? This goes back to the time of Abram, but although heathen had control over Jerusalem at this time, this figure, this, all right, king and priest, all right, was known as King of Salem, right? All right. He brought forth bread and wine, and he was priest of the Most High God. And Abraham, or Abram at that time, his name was Abram, tithed to him. All right. This is the king and priest, all right, who was going to rule in the kingdom of heaven as we return to Salem, which Salem or Salam or Shalom, it just means peace. All right. Psalm 76 and 2. And Salem also is his tabernacle, his dwelling place is in Zion. Okay. So Salem is Jerusalem, and that's where we're going to return as we're brought out of captivity here in Babylon the Great, which is the modern day Nineveh. Okay. So what is the Lord saying as we see in 2017, you had the 7 Salem eclipse. All right, because the children of Israel over here, Judah and Ephraim, are being brought back together. As a matter of fact, let's get in the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. So this is highly spiritual. Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. right? As the dry bones were brought over here to the Americas, the Valley of Dry Bones, see, to serve our final captivity, there will be a great awakening, which we're partaking of that now. And it ain't like we read this chapter and then decided, okay, we're those people, we're going to do this. No, it happened genuinely. It happened naturally through the Holy Spirit. Now we're understanding as we're reading, wow, we're reading about ourselves waking up. After 3 days and a half, the spirit of life would enter into them. But the purpose of the dry bones receiving the word was that they would what? There would be a reuniting of Judah and Israel, or Judah and Ephraim, which Ephraim were the tribes that were already over here in the Americas. All right. Primarily Judah, Benjamin, and Levi were brought over here on slave ships. You see, and the reunion of the elect of Judah and Ephraim would happen here in Babylon the Great, as you have doctrines out there that only the northern kingdom is only in Africa. No, the northern kingdom, although Judah, Benjamin, Levi, all of the 12 tribes are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, the bulk of the tribes are here. All 12 tribes are here in Babylon the Great, and a great reunion is taking place, all right, in this modern day Nineveh, all right, which is Babylon the Great. You see, and the purpose of the reuniting of the tribes is that they're going to be joined back together. See, we ain't got to get it. But he's going to gather us out of all of these countries and place us in our land, starting at Jerusalem. Let's see here. As the tribes reunite, he's going to make us one nation, because that's ultimately what we were supposed to be. We weren't supposed to be northern and southern kingdom. We were supposed to be one nation. And that's what's happening through the word. The breaches are being closed up. But the point is, when you get Ezekiel 37:25, is that we're going to dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they and their children and their children's children shall be my servant. And my servant David shall be prince over them. So we're going to have children, and our children are going to have children. We're going to be the greatest nation, all right, that the earth has ever seen. And we're going to be in the new covenant. Ezekiel 36:24, for I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. See? And that land is Jerusalem. Starting at Jerusalem, which again, we know that there's a promised land. See? The promised land. And it starts at Jerusalem. The garden eastward in Eden is where we are returning to, and that's Jerusalem. And the king of that land, all right, is Hamashiach Yahushai, all right, Malak Tazadak, and he's going to establish a kingdom, all right, of kings and priests, starting with King David, the tabernacle of David. We're going to return to our land, Jerusalem. So I look at this first X letting us know the Lord is getting ready to deliver us and bring us back to peace, Salem, Jerusalem, which means teaching of peace. All right. He says here, Salem is short for Jerusalem. And that is why so many early Americans chose that name for their communities. All right. And who was over here in the early Americas? It was the Northern Kingdom. See, but there's an ongoing doctrine that no, this is really Jerusalem, America. No, America is Babylon the Great. America's getting ready to be destroyed and never be inhabited again. Jerusalem is going to be the center point of our government. That's going to be like the capital of the kingdom of heaven. Right? But this is why our people need to get into the scriptures. A lot of our people are in this woke culture where they're starting to try to figure things out, but it's not according to knowledge. And this is where the prophets come in to make sense of it. Yes, we were over here. We were in this land. Okay? Because when you go into prophecy, the northern kingdom came over here and inhabited North, Central, and South America. All right? But the Lord sent our enemy over here to punish us. Because what were the tribes doing over here? Wickedness. See? And then the Lord brought the rest of the tribes over here via a slave trade. All right. Well, we were brought over here on ships, which that's a doctrine that's spoken against. You got a lot of Israelites, and there were no slave ships, which the scriptures clearly tell us that a punishment, the final curse in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, for disobedience and breaking that covenant was that we will be brought to a land on slave ships and be sold to our enemies. And no man will be able to save us out of that situation. The only one that can save us is a Mashiach Yahawashi. So going back to the article, the eclipse will also cross, all right. So you have, okay, let me go back here. So that first line, which we saw, that X marks the spot, crossed over Salem, Oregon, Salem, Idaho, Salem, Wyoming, Salem, Nebraska, Salem, Missouri, Salem, Kentucky, Salem, South Carolina. Salem is short for Jerusalem, and that is why so many early Americans chose that name for their communities. All right, and if you believe in that doctrine, don't come spewing your madness on our video. Just go teach what you believe on your platform. We're rooted and set in what we believe. We've been teaching this word, our apostles and elders, going back 40 years. All right, going back to the men before them. All right, and us, we've entered into their labors. Myself and other brothers came in 2007. All right, which was called the Great Awakening. And we've been teaching this word ever since, and we have not budged. So don't think your long, stupid message where you're going to have your finger, the finger emoji pointing to particular points is going to make us to change our mind. The best thing for you to do is go teach what you believe, and we'll see who was right. We're going to be delivered out of this place called Babylon the Great. See? And brought to our own land. Not already be in our own land and just stay there. No, a great destruction has to happen. So now the second great American eclipse, all right, is almost here. It's coming in April. The path of that eclipse will cross over 7 U.S. locations named Nineveh, Texas. All right. And where does it start at? Eagle Pass, Texas. All right. Nineveh, Missouri, Nineveh, Indiana, Nineveh, Ohio, Nineveh, Pennsylvania, Nineveh, Virginia, and Nineveh, New York. The eclipse will also cross over a location named Nineveh in the province of Nova Scotia in Canada. All right. Which Canada is a part of NATO. All right. And they're doing a whole bunch of wickedness over there. So why is it? So that is why you sometimes see lists of 8 Ninevehs on social media. In some of these locations, residents will be able to view a total solar eclipse, and others only a partial solar eclipse will be able to be viewed. So what do we know about Nineveh? Well, Genesis, the 10th chapter, tells us that Nineveh was built by Nimrod. All right. And I think it's noteworthy. All right. Now, real quick, when you go to Genesis, the 10th chapter, okay, Nimrod, where he became a mighty hunter. Let's see if we can pull that up. Okay, Genesis, the 10th chapter and the 8th verse, and Cush, all right, which I believe that was the grandson of Ham. See? Or the son. Cush was the son of Ham. These were the descendants of Ham, the Hamites, which today they are the so-called Africans. All right, so the Bible doesn't run away from the fact that the Hamitic tribes, the heathen nations had great kingdoms. I mean, the scriptures, all right, tell you that it is the Most High who gave these kingdoms, all right, of the heathen their power. See, but we're living in a time where the horns of the heathen are getting ready to be taken down. You see, and the final rulership of the heathen in the Bible is known as Babylon the Great. All right, now you have to understand, in the Bible, there are 3 Babylons. All right, you have Babel, which we're reading about here, that's going to be established by Nimrod. You have the Neo-Babylonian Empire, in which, Jeremiah, Isaiah, and various different Habakkuk, Obadiah, they prophesied in that, empire, and that was ran by Assyrians, okay, which are a Shemitic people, right? They're not Israelites, but they can be classified as, descendants of Shem, all right? Because Shem had what, 5 sons, but the chosen came through Arphaxad, all right? And then you have Babylon the Great, which prophetically that is ran by the biblical Edomites and fulfills the blessing given unto them that they would rule the fatness of the earth. But it all starts here. See, it all starts here in Genesis, the 10th chapter, all right, where Cush, the son of Ham, one of the nations that survived the flood, right? Ham, Shem, Ham, and Japheth survived the flood, all right, became a mighty one in the earth. And Cush begot Nimrod, which means what? Rebellion or valiant. Okay, and he was the grandson of Ham. Okay, and after the flood, this is the first major empire to be established. It wasn't an empire by the chosen lineage. It was an empire by heathen. The Bible doesn't run from that. So he became mighty in the earth. He was a heroic warrior. And who's the heroic warrior of this time is the biblical Edomite. And Nimrod, all right, was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. All right, wherefore it was says, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. All right, and who's known as a mighty hunter today? Not only when you go out into the, the nature and he hunts animals, well, he hunts souls through witchcraft, snares. All right, Esau. Okay, so that which is then is now. The modern day Nimrod, all right, points to Esau, who controls the modern day Babylon, which is America. And it says, in the beginning of his kingdom, which he went conquering these different lands, was Babel, okay, which means confusion. All right, when you read it in the NLT, he built his kingdom in the land of Babylonia, all right, with the cities of Babylon, Erech, Akkad, Calneh. From there, he expanded his territory to Assyria, building the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, and Calneh. And when you read the names of these particular strongholds he established, it gives you a story as to, what he did. It tells a story. I did a lesson on it a while back, but we're just going to focus on Nineveh here for the sake of the lesson. All right. And Nineveh means abode of Ninus, capital of the ancient kingdom of Assyria, located on the east bank of the Tigris River. And I believe Ninus, all right, when you look it up, it's an ancient, all right, god. It's an ancient god that was worshipped back then. Fish god, I believe. Okay. And the Greeks also got into that same worship. But you can look it up, all right? Ninus goes back to a particular god. And see, it goes to Semiramis, the queen of heaven. It's all tied together, and that's what ultimately they were establishing, a cult of witchcraft. The same thing that Esau's doing. Okay, so Nineveh is the capital of Assyria. Okay, and it was established by Nimrod. Now, when you go into prophecy, all right, as we always go into, when you go into end time prophecy, speaking of the return of Yahweh Shai, okay, in Micah 5 and 6, it says, and they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword. And Assyria in prophecy is America, the final captivity. When you go into prophecy, because when you get Isaiah, the 10th chapter, to give you an example of this, all right, when it talks about the remnant being delivered, the scripture we always go to in Isaiah, the 20th chapter, how the remnant, Israel is going to be as the sand of the sea, but only a remnant shall return. All right, because the Lord is going to establish that foundation with the remnant, the 144, the large multitude. Okay. So the Lord is going to deliver us. But he says here in Isaiah 10 and 24, thus saith the Lord God, O my people that dwellest in Zion, be not afraid of the Assyrian. He shall smite thee with a rod and shall lift up his staff against thee in the manner of Egypt, meaning we were going to be in a major captivity again. And this is speaking of the final captivity, but it goes under the code name of the Assyrian. All right. Another example of this, all you have to do is type in Egypt and Assyria. Okay. And there's various scriptures. Hosea 11 and 11, they shall tremble as a bird being delivered by chariots, as a dove out of the land, out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria, and I will place them in their houses. Now, that didn't happen with ancient Assyria. From the ancient Assyrian, captivity came the Babylonian captivity. We know the northern kingdom left the Assyrian captivity, but Judah, Benjamin, Levi, with a few of the sprinkled of the northern kingdom, all right, were in the Babylonian captivity. All right, then came the Medes, the Persians. All right, and then came the Greeks. All right, the Romans, and then we know that there will be a final captivity. All right, extension of the fourth beast. So we weren't placed out of our own land. All right, after we went in the Assyrian captivity, we weren't placed, as a nation back in our own land. So this is a spiritual. All right, discerning is needed here. Okay, there's one in Isaiah 27 and 13. It shall come to pass in that day, a great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, all right, and outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh, the holy, in the holy mount of Jerusalem. You see that? This is all end time prophecy. Okay? Zechariah 10 and 10, I will bring them also out of the land of Egypt and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them to the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and a place shall not be found for them. Okay? Verse 11, and he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deep rivers shall dry up, and the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. This all points to the final captivity of the Israelites, northern and southern kingdom, all right, being in Babylon the Great. All right, but again, it's in code. See? So Micah, the 5th chapter says, and he shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword. Babylon's going to be destroyed. Okay, and the land of Nimrod, see, and the interests thereof, and thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrians when he come into our land, when he tread it within our borders, because they're going to come after us. And that's where we're going to be delivered out of that trouble. But as you can see here, we're prophesied that great deliverance, all right, and that remnant that's going to be purified in the very next verse, okay, is talking about end time prophecy, but it's known as the land of Nimrod. See, which Jeremiah, when you go to his writings, he calls this place Marathaim, which Marathaim, the root of that is Marah, which means bitter or rebellion. Like Mary, Miriam means rebellious or bitter. America means what? Bitter or martigo. So this place is deeply coded in prophecy, and it points to this place because America itself means bitter. The root word mare, mar, okay, which points to what? Again, Jeremiah called this place Marathaim, which means double rebellion. And we have videos going into that, but that's not the point of this lesson, right? But here we're going to be delivered from the land of Nimrod. Okay? So bringing it all back to this article that I thought I had, right? Let's go here. Let's go back. Give me 1 second. Okay? So Nineveh, all right, points to, ultimately the capital of Assyria, which was established by Nimrod. All right, and we were captive to that land, at the time, that the Assyrians rule here. But in addition, Wikipedia tells us that under the Bur Segal Eclipse crossed over Nineveh June 15th, 1760 or 763. And as the Assyrian eclipse, also known as the Bur Sagal, all right, eclipse is a solar eclipse recorded in Assyrian eponym, all right, lists that most likely dates to the 10th year of the reign of King Asuradan the third. The eclipse is identified with the one that occurred, all right, the 15th of June, 763 BC, all right, in the Julian calendar. Some believe that the Bur Sagal eclipse happened at the same time that Jonah was in Nineveh, warning the population that it would be destroyed. All right, you can look more into that, you see, but again, we know that end time prophecy is associated with signs and wonders and the stars, the moons. Let's get Luke, the 21st chapter. All right. So back then there was an eclipse. All right. Here there's an eclipse. Now the time of that eclipse back then, all right, is subject to debate. All right. But we know that the end time prophecy is synonymous with signs, eclipses, blood moons, and everything that we see happening before us. Luke 1, all right, in 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, all right, and shall be led away captive into all nations. This happened in 70 AD, right? And from 70 AD, we went into the interiors of Africa, parts of Europe, Asia, all right? But from there, all right, as you go into prophecy, we were brought into captivity on slave ships to be brought over to the Americas, all right, so all of the tribes can be together, all right, and the final captivity, all right, which would be what? The end of the Gentiles' rulership. So it says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, meaning the Lord takes down the heathen nations. And we know that that's associated with a great kingdom called Babylon the Great. And that will mark the return of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And before that, there will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and up on the earth, the stress of nations. Are not we witnessing the stress of the nations right now? All right. And with perplexity, lack of resources, people going to the social media, expressing how deeply affected they are by what's going on, mainly women. All right. There's American Dream they're figuring out was a damn disaster. You're having all kind of floods, weird weather patterns, men's heart failing for looking after those things which are coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And that's what's happening right now. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with great power and great glory, which is why you have chariots popping up all over the place. Okay? So we're very well in end time prophecies. We're here. It's not a subject of when, if it's when. It's when the Lord does all of these things, and we're in the middle of them happening. So let's go back here. I can understand how the appearance of such an eclipse would have been seen as a great, strong confirmation of Jonah's message, although it didn't happen in Jonah's time. The fall of Nineveh came at the time of Nahum, which, let me bring this up. Nineveh, real quick, I want to get this for you as well. Okay. At the time of Nahum, very singular, learn what the place's prophet is more said. His name signifies consolation. All right. And this is our consolation. The Lord delivering us. It says, and though the subject of his prophecy chiefly relates to the destruction of the Assyrian Empire and of Nineveh, the chief city of it, yet this was a comfort to the people of the Jews, all right, the Israelites, all right, that an enemy so powerful who was so troublesome to them, whom they dreaded, should one day be destroyed. In what age Nineveh lived is not said, and you can keep going, but ultimately Nahum's message And Nahum saw Jonah's prophecy be fulfilled by Nineveh being taken down by the Medes and the Babylonians. All right. So when you go into Nahum's writings, okay, he's witnessing the fall of Nineveh and writing it and recording it and prophesying and rejoicing over it. Okay? The burden of Nineveh, the book of Nahum, all right, the Elkoshite, all right, which ultimately he was an Israelite, okay, but he's known as an Elkoshite. Again, people were called after the lands that they were born in that time. God is jealous and Yahweh revengeth, all right, Yahweh revengeth and is furious. Yahweh will take vengeance on his adversaries, all right, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. Yahweh is slow to anger and great in power. See, he was slow to anger in the destruction of Nineveh because it was prophesied, all right, to happen at the time of Jonah, but it happened hundreds of years later, during the time of Nahum, the time of Tobit. See? So Yahweh hath his way in a whirlwind and in a storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So it just goes into what the Lord is getting ready to do to this place. And by the time you get, okay, to the second and third chapter, he's describing the war that was taking place. And we can tie this to what's coming here. Nahum 3:1, woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departed not. They went conquering Nineveh. You know, the Assyrians, with Nineveh being the capital, they went conquering all of these various different nations. They had the children of Israel oppressed. They had a very powerful military, which the Romans studied the Assyrian military. See? The idol worship, cross-dressing. Okay? It says the horsemen the horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and a glittering spear, and a great multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble and fall on their corpses because there was a war going on. See, he's witnessing all of this stuff happen. And this is all going to happen here in Babylon the Great. All right? Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, all right, that selleth nations through her whoredom, meaning buy over nations to be put under spells through various different means, witchcraft, and sell it nations through her whoredom and families through her witchcrafts, okay? Breaking up family structure, rooting out foundations, and establishing what? Pseudoscience and evil. And when you go into this, okay, okay, this is a commentary on it. Nineveh, which was an ancient city, was full of stately and beautiful buildings. All right, metropolis, abounded with wealth and riches. That's America today. Okay? Nineveh for may have its name from the beauty of it. All right, beautiful, pleasant habitation. It was beautiful, and that's how America was looked at. Okay, and when you look at what was going on at the time Nahum was prophesying, it says Sardanapalus, all right, the last at his time, all right, the present king of the Assyrians was very effeminate. He used to wear dresses. He dressed in woman's clothes and imitated a woman's voice and painted his face. Do not we see that same vibration going on here today in this modern day Nineveh? So Nahum was crying out against the same stuff we're crying out against. Okay, he painted his face and even his whole body. People go to football games with their bodies painted. The rulers of this world, they cross-dress. They do all of this wickedness, put on makeup. You go to Hollywood, the man got to wear a dress. That's all associated with idols, man. Okay? And by other tricks and enticements of harlots, made himself more lascivious and behaved more lewdly, than any other harlot. In short, all the Assyrian women must be harlots. It's not that the culture of America, my body, my choice, my pussy, my choice. Women being promoted to be harlots through music, okay? Out of order. This was the environment of ancient Assyria. See? And since they were obliged once in their lifetime to live with a stranger in the temple of Venus, all right? And in other of these cultures, women had to have trains ran on them in these temples to be considered a woman. And that's the standard of being a woman here. Play the field, lay with as many men as you can. And then when you get 47 and broke down with a bullet hole and 8 tattoos, you want to settle down and say, I need a real man to come and comfort you from all of the whoredoms that you just practiced all throughout your life. And now the men are waking up to it. And they're like, hell nah. Hell nah. I don't want no ran down, So it's a war between men, women. There's all kind of things going on here in Babylon the Great, which takes you back to the same environment that was taking place in what we're reading about, Nineveh. Okay? The priest Tazamah brought up this article about Sardanapalus. He lived as a woman. So at the time Nahum was prophesying, this was the ruler in Assyria. So we see the same environment here. He lived as a woman and spent his day with concubines and women's activities, making women clothes. All right, in purple and soft wool. He dressed up as a woman. He used makeup. All right. His body was more delicate. All right. Than the most pampered women. He made his voice like a woman. And don't we see that here today? Like that Rachel Levine character who's supposed to be an admiral. We see this very environment, man. Okay? Yeah, and what do you do with an environment that's soft like this? They get rolled on, and that's what happened. The Medes and the Babylonians rolled on their asses, man. Point blank, period. And you can read more about it. It says this conduct caused the destruction of the Assyrian Empire. Sardanapalus' vassal, all right, Abrasus, general of the Medes, brided his way into the king's presence, and when he seen how effeminate the king was, he despised him and conspired to revolt with the Persians, which the modern day Persians, all right, are the Iranians, Iran. The modern day Mede in prophecy, okay, points to Russia. You see that? And what are they saying about America? They're talking about how soft and effeminate the culture is, how they despise family, how the men are weak, and they don't want the people over there to look at Western, all right, entertainment because it makes them soft. So we're seeing this very same thing happen in our day. Call Halal Yahal Bashim Yahshad. Now let's go back to the article and finish it off. There's so much. Okay. So again, you have the 7 Ninevehs where this great eclipse that marks that final line to make the X over Nineveh, Texas, Nineveh, Missouri, Nineveh, Indiana, Nineveh, Ohio. So this points that this is the modern day Nineveh, which America is known as the mother of all harlots. So you have remnants of all of these ancient kingdoms here in America spiritually. Okay? So now a historic solar eclipse of our own is here. But instead of crossing over just one Nineveh, our solar eclipse will be crossing over 7 Ninevehs. It is being reported that the Great American Eclipse of 2024 will be the most viewed astronomical event in all of U.S. history. And you're going to have people out there with the goggles on. They're going to make money off of it. It's going to be big events. People are going to be gathering together. But we, the prophets, all right, aren't in darkness as all of these people. We know that we looking at this like, yeah, this place is getting ready to be destroyed. And we can clearly see that this place is going to be destroyed. Interestingly, more than 1,900 cities, towns, and villages in the United States, the very first community in the U.S., all right, the path of the eclipse will touch is Eagle Pass, Texas. Which what's going on in Eagle Pass, Texas? The immigration thing, all right, at the border. Friction. And the angels are guiding all of this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Of course, Eagle Pass, Texas has become ground zero of the national immigration crisis where all of these immigrants are being brought over here, allowed over here for a purpose. It's getting ready to go down. See? Residents in a border city, Texas, have now revealed how police and National Guard troops have taken over, seizing their properties as migrants trash the street lines. All right, Eagle Pass, which is home of 28,500 Texans, has become ground zero in the country of a wide political fight, which is causing a divide between the left and the right. You have 25 states who are siding with Texas, like, look, we'll succeed. And then you have the blue states, all right, which are with it, which they're doing the bidding of Satan. All of them are Satan, but the Lord has the Biden administration doing the bidding of the elite because they want to collapse this system. Okay? You got all of these immigrants over here. With all of the problems we have over here, you letting all of these immigrants over here, migrants, what do you think that's going to lead to? Now, we know that, a lot of the migrants are of the Northern Kingdom, which is really a lot of nations, but a lot of the Northern Kingdom are really, some going to be delivered, some going to be destroyed. Okay? But again, war is getting ready to break out. Civil war. Okay? Just another coincidence, huh? There is one more thing about the month of April I wanted to mention. In late April, billions of 13-year-old, all right, cicadas, which are like bugs, flies, and billions of 17-year cicadas will start emerging from the ground simultaneously, which is going to what? All right? That's going to ruin a lot of the crops. Okay? Which is going to help the famine to be, brought forth. Okay? Will start emerging from the ground simultaneously for the first time since Thomas Jefferson was president, one of the founding fathers, right? And these are plagues, man. Okay? These are plagues, man. Millions, billions of these bugs are going to be flying around. And they make noises. So there's a lot happening, man. Let's get to the point. Let's finish it off. That is odd because the path of the Great American Eclipse of 2017 and the path of the Great American Eclipse of 2024 just so happens to intersect in Illinois. All right, and this is where a lot of these cicadas are going to be, I guess. Billions of the winged insects will make an appearance across the Midwest. All right, in a mating ritual that tends to inspire fascination, annoyance in equal measure because they make a lot of noise. Wow. So again, this all points to plagues. This all points to the Lord is working. A giant X over America is being formed by the paths of those two eclipses, and the giant X will finally be completed on April the 8th. There is so much more about these two eclipses in my most recent book entitled Chaos. All right. Which we ain't here to promote. All right. A book. The book is the scriptures, man. See, a lot of these people, they try to quote the scriptures, they do this, but they're here to make money. See, the prophets are just here to let you know what it is, man. We ain't like those other guys, all right, making money of the ministry, merchandise. All right. But as I stated there, I am not anticipating any particular event will happen April the 8th, all right? And neither are we. We're just showing you that, look, this is the times we're in, okay? Because from, they can very well start to bring on those measures that's going to help them establish their NWO, okay? It says, rather, I believe that we will witness on April 18th. What we will witness on April 8th is a sign or a warning for the entire nation. Just like the city of Nineveh in the ancient world, we have been given an opportunity to change direction, and that's through the prophets. Okay, the prophets have been out on the highways and the byways, all right, hardcore, warning the people, warning our people, telling you all what's getting ready to happen. Okay, so will we take advantage of it or will we ignore it? And people don't want to hear the prophets. But if you think that this is just some sort of coincidence, then you crazy. Let's get a scripture real quick to end this off. Sirach 36:1. Have mercy upon us, O Lord God, all right, of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. And see, America has not seeked after the Most High. Nineveh didn't seek after the Most High. See? And rebellion always has a time where it feels good, but there's a point where you pay for it. See? And rebellion is fulfilled in America, the capital of this beast system. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, all right? And let them see thy power, okay? And I believe the capital of U.S. is Washington, D.C., right? Which is one of the unclean frogs, all right? Which gives them power to go and work these miracles throughout the planet Earth. You know, the military, the banking system, and out of the Vatican, all right, you have the spiritual system of which they're able to fulfill the role of Satan in the earth. With those three strongholds, their military might, their great sword Esau is blessed with, their monetary means that's out of London, and their spiritual, fornication, which they have everybody drunk, is out of what? The Vatican. Okay? In Italy, which points back to Rome. All right, the three unclean spirits, the three unclean frogs that give them the power to work miracles throughout the earth on the left-hand side. Okay, and they have everybody enslaved, and it's no way out but through the Lord for us. See, but a lot of these people, these Americans, are getting ready to take to the streets because Thomas Jefferson promised them freedom and liberties in their great America, right? Which the powers that be now are undermining the civil liberties of the everyday American Edomite. You can't have a gun no more like you used to. You can't, all right, have a freedom of assembly. You can't have nothing. They're taking away all your rights. So again, with that thing pointing to Thomas Jefferson, with the bugs, those cicadas, okay, again, these Americans are getting ready to rebel. Right? That whole thing in Eagle Pass, this immigration thing, these Americans are getting ready to lose their minds. There's going to be sedition amongst men, political uproars. Okay? And you had those types of things happening in ancient Nineveh. People were complaining about the rulership. The rulers were living in lasciviousness and lust, being sodomites, freaks, perverse, dressing as women. Remember, even Nero Trump, okay, was dressed as a woman. All right, well, not Trump himself, but Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, and you have Trump here, all right, hugging up on him. This is fair use.
Is the president getting
is now thinking
money insists?
Hold up.
You know, you're really beautiful. I'll go backstage before a show, and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
I've never seen him one time act inappropriate.
I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
I can do anything.
I've never seen him one time act inappropriate.
This may be the best of all. If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
I've never seen him one time act inappropriate.
Look at this.
Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
I mean, he's still alive, right? Louis Giuliani, he was a lawyer, a governor, a politician, basically. So your politicians of this day, this is what they do. All of them do this type of stuff. Okay? Sirach 36:2. And send fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us. And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no God but only thou, O power. All right. And this is what it's all going to lead to. Every knee's going to bow, man. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, Yahweh Shai, that thou may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Make the time short. Remember the covenant and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escape be consumed by the rage of fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. See? Smite and sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say, there is none but we. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together and inherit thou them as from the beginning. Okay? And this is what we're calling for, man. All right. So, that's pretty much it. There's much more we can go into, but, man, if you don't think this is, something to take heed to in the spirit, okay? Because we're in Babylon, man. Babylon is getting ready to be destroyed. Babylon is the modern day Assyria, the modern day Nineveh. Right? In Revelation, the 18th chapter. This is the final captivity of the heathen, of the Israelites, man. Where the heathen, starting with Esau, Edom, are getting ready to be ended, man. All right. So this is what's getting ready to happen. Revelation 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and it shall be found no more at all. So if you're saying this is talking about ancient Iraq and this has already happened, well, people are still in Iraq, all right, in those regions chilling. War is going on. This is coming to Babylon the Great. Okay? So hopefully I will edify. On to the next. Shalom.